Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a sermon that really gets at a question I think we've all asked at some point. Why is this happening to me? We're going to unpack it by following the ancient story of a man named Nehemiah on a journey that finds real purpose in our absolute worst moments. So, the sermon starts right here with this really raw, honest cry of frustration. You know that feeling, right? Of being totally stuck in a situation you just can't stand and want to escape. Well, that feeling, that's our starting line for everything that comes next. So let me set the scene for you. The story is all about this guy, Nehemiah. He's a Jewish captive over in ancient Persia. Now here's the thing. His people had actually been freed and were allowed to go back home. But not him. According to the sermon's logic, a divine plan was keeping him right where he was, stuck in a foreign land against his will. Okay, so let's get into it. This whole journey unfolds in 6 stages, and it's designed to unpack the why. Why are you being forced to stay put in the one place you really don't want to be? So first, we have to sit with that feeling of being stuck. See, on the surface, Nehemiah had it pretty good. He was the king's cupbearer, a really high-status job. But, none of that mattered to him. For him, Persia wasn't a palace. It was a cage, and all he wanted was to get out. And this is where the sermon pivots from this ancient story and points it right at us. It asks this question that hits home for so many people. It really taps into that deep, painful sense of unfairness you feel when your struggle seems totally unique, and you're just looking around thinking, why is this just happening to me? All right, now hold on, because this is where the whole thing gets turned on its head. The argument here is completely counterintuitive. What if that specific personal pain you're going through isn't a punishment? And what if it isn't just bad luck? What if it's something else entirely? So check this out. Here is the core idea. In this way of thinking, your unique hardship, the one that nobody else seems to understand, it's not a problem to be solved. It is the sign. The pain itself is the flashing arrow pointing to a unique kind of grace, a blessing that's been prepared just for you and no one else. And this little chart here, this basically lays out the whole roadmap for us. You can see it's a chain reaction. Every step leads to the next one. And just look where it all starts. Right back at square one, in that unwanted place. Now we get to what the sermon calls the major turning point. And it's a really bold claim. It says that reaching a point of total powerlessness, where there is absolutely nothing you can do to fix your problem, isn't a curse. It's actually an unexpected gift. And the logic is pretty simple when you think about it. When we have other options, right? Our skills, our money, our connections, prayer can kind of become a just-in-case thing, a formality. But when your back is against the wall, when you are truly helpless, prayer changes. It becomes your only way out. It's a desperate lifeline. And that desperate prayer, that's what unlocks the next door. It leads to this stage of deep, soul-shaking repentance. But here's the catch. According to this teaching, this isn't something you can just muscle through and do on your own. It's a gift, something you have to receive. Yeah, see, the kind of repentance Nehemiah had where he's confessing the sins of his ancestors, that didn't come from just trying harder. The idea here is that this is a moment of pure grace, a divine gift that just closes that distance between a person and God. So what happens when that gap between you and God is gone? Well, your prayers change completely. They break free from the chains of logic, from what seems probable, from all the hard circumstances you can see right in front of you. And just to put this into perspective, let's look at the odds. Nehemiah, a Jewish captive, is about to walk up to the king of the Persian Empire and ask him to use the empire's money and resources to rebuild the walls of a foreign city. I mean, from a political standpoint, the chances of that working are zero. Literally zero. And this really gets to the heart of what that bold prayer is. After that true repentance, you're not praying based on what makes sense in the real world anymore. Your focus has completely shifted, and that frees you up to ask for something that seems totally impossible. So you have the suffering, the helplessness, the repentance, and this incredibly bold prayer. And what does it all lead to? It culminates in something that by any rational measure should never, ever have happened. I mean, just look at this result. It is absolutely stunning. The king doesn't just say yes. He says yes, and I'll pay for all of it. Yes, and here's a royal letter to make sure you get there safely. And then, this is the real kicker, he takes Nehemiah, his servant, and promotes him to be the official governor of Judah. And this is what brings the whole argument full circle. The mind-blowing conclusion here is that this incredible, dreamlike breakthrough didn't happen in spite of Nehemiah's suffering. It happened because of it. Being stuck in that awful, unwanted place was the first, most necessary domino that had to fall. And so that leaves us with this final, really provocative question to ask ourselves. It's an invitation to look at our own hardships differently, not as dead ends, but as the potential and, very unlikely, starting points of our own impossible journeys.